Hello, everybody. We're going to talk today about what's unique about your farm or food business and how to sell it to wholesalers. So we're going to take a look at what things make you unique, how you can succinctly take that information and communicate that to build your brand and to get more customers, particularly in the wholesale. Like Jennifer said, my name is Kim London, and I teach here at SUNY Adirondack in the business division. So I do teach courses on marketing, and we cover things like brand management, topics of social media, target customers, market research. I work with a lot of small businesses through the Startup 80K program and with my own business background where I've been in farmer table restaurants and buying products. So I've been on both ends as both a producer and as a wholesale customer, so buying those things. So I have a unique insight into how it works and some of the best practices that we'll talk about moving forward. Okay, so that's a little bit about me. I'd like to say hello to everybody here, if everyone can introduce themselves and name one unique thing about their product, farm, or service. And we'll get to more on this later, but we can go ahead. Maybe Eileen, if you want to start.
Okay. Let's see. Hi, can you hear me? Good morning, everybody. My name is Eileen Kaliva, and I'm owner and founder of Kaliva Cookie Company. What's unique about my business is that I specialize in my grandmother's Italian cookies and biscottis. They're handmade in my kitchen in Ballston Lake. And I have a website. I ship my products nationwide and ship right to your door. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Welcome, Eileen. And a couple of things that she said, and we'll talk about this through the presentation, right? She talked about her grandmother, right? That's unique. Her grandmother's recipe, handmade, right? The actual products and services, biscotti, is unique. And then online ships right to your door, right? How do you get it, right? That can be a part of that's unique to you, right? And some people sell at retail, some people sell wholesale, some people sell at farmers markets, but where you sell it, right? And so those are things that could differentiate Eileen from her competitors. Thank you. Pat, would you like to say hello?
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, I'm not sure. Okay, so I'm Pat Bono. I'm the owner beekeeper of CHL Honey, aka NY Honey Buzz. It's a small batch operation. It's award-winning. It was judged the best tasting honey in the Eastern U.S. by the Eastern Apicultural Society, and was served at the 2013 presidential inaugural lunch in Washington, D.C. I do seasonal honeys. It's certified kosher. I also do infused honeys, and yeah, I sell it mainly at the farmers market, but I do sell wholesale to some local stores. I like to do specialty stores, stores that sell things that are more gifty. I do like specialty little mini bears, and I dress them up for like Easter, that sort of thing. I do sell online, but I really need to get into more wholesale markets.
Okay, great. Thanks, Pat. Sounds like a great product. You mentioned a couple things, right? Award-winning, specialty packaging, best tasting, third-party certifications always help. Kosher certified, also served at the inaugural dinner and in the presidential election. So those types of things can be used to differentiate your products, right? And we'll talk a little bit more about this, as we go through the program, but how to make sure, right? Talking to a lot of buyers, especially in the wholesale, they're interested in your products, right? If they're going to be buying local, they're interested in your products, but how to succinctly tell them right away more about your products and how are you different from all the other products that are out there, right? They have a lot of products And so we'll figure out how to make sure that your story and your unique selling proposition is going to resonate with buyers, be memorable, be clear, be concise. Okay, I'm going to share my screen here. And okay. And again, when we're talking about it, customers are overwhelmed with options. They want to quickly understand what makes your product or brand different from your competitors. And we've spoken to some of our participants here who have started to tell us a little bit why. Okay, so a little bit about the unique selling proposition. What is it? It's referred to as a USP, is a one thing that makes your business better than the competition. It's a specific benefit that will help you focus your marketing strategy. And that includes your messaging, your branding, all your marketing decisions, your website, your packaging. And it should answer this one crucial question when people immediately encounter your brand. What makes you different from the competition? So as we can see here, this is the, intersection of what your business does well, or some of the things that you do well, or that you've strived to do, whether that's your farming practices or your production processes or your background, and then what your customers want from yours. Okay, so a little bit about how do you figure out where do you get that unique selling point, right? Being unique is not in itself a strong USP. You have to differentiate it to what your target audience, what your customers want, or your messaging won't be as effective. Okay, so a couple things that you can figure out. Well, what does make my business unique? Anyone here have done a SWOT analysis? Okay, so we're pretty familiar with a SWOT analysis, right? When you do that for your brand or your product or your business, you're going to look at strengths and weaknesses, right? The strengths are going to be the things that you do well in your business. That could be your management style, that could be your skills or background, that could be your grandmother's recipe, that could be several acres of wildflowers that you can, put your honeybees near that are going to infuse it, or flavored honeys, right? Your weaknesses are going to be also internal, and those can be things that you'd like to improve on, right? So those could be things, maybe my customers are looking for online ordering or direct shipping. I don't have a good system for that. I'm only at farmers markets taking cash or PayPal, but I don't have an online ordering, right? What are things that you find weaknesses internally? And then the opportunities and threats are external, looking outside of your business and being able to say, what are the opportunities? What are the threats, right? Opportunities. Oh, you know what? I feel like I can possibly get my honey into farm to school, right? There's a lot of farm to school programs going on. There's some funding for it. Maybe we can work that, right? What are the opportunities happening? There are, or possibly threats. Is there a competition? Is there somebody in the community? I have a craft cidery. Is there a lot of competition now? Are people looking for lower calorie drinks? Are they looking for different things, right? What is happening in the environment, in the outside environment, outside of your business that you can either capitalize on or should be aware of that it might be a threat to your existing business? Other things that we can talk about that make your unique product, right? It could be the property, facilities, and location. Maybe you have a old historic barn that you do events on your property, right, at your farm. Maybe you have craft shows that are there. Maybe you are using a state-of-the-art technology that is making sure that your biscottis are the best that they are. Maybe you're using handmade, right? You're doing everything by hand to ensure the flavor, right? Differentiating based on those types of logistics and those types of facilities can help you create something that is different from your competitors. Pat, can you just elaborate a little bit here on your honey operation and the facility you have?
Yeah, and well, interesting. So I live near Rochester, but I have land on the Seaway Trail, 3 miles east of a historic little town, little whatever, Pulteneyville. And yeah, it's 1880 post and beam barn. And I am working on having some agritourism there. I do have a 20C kitchen. So I pretty much converted the barn. It was due to be knocked down like 15 years ago. And so right now I have a 20C kitchen in the lower level. I'm getting it ready for, tours, that sort of thing. And that's where everything happens. That's where the bees are. That's where the processing is. The rabbi comes to the barn and looks at the bees, looks at the kitchen. Everything happens pretty much at the barn.
Great.
And I just bring the honey to my home, about 30 miles away, and that's where my farmer's market is in my hometown. But yeah, it's a one-person operation. I do it all from bee to marketing.
Okay, great. So you have a couple of resources at your facilities and your location where it is that might be unique and different and differentiate you from your competitors, right? Maybe a little bit about the owners. What was your background? Are you a third generation farm? Do you have a career also in nutrition or in culinary or in baking, right? What about you that makes you unique, right? That could be used to your advantage. Do you have a farmer who, is from a third generation family farm who does old fashioned cheese making, or right, what kind of resources and utilities do you have as far as staffing that you can use to leverage your USP? Okay. Farming philosophy and practices. Are you regenerative, organic? Do you work on your soil management? Do you have beneficial insects? Do you have areas where you are attracting pollinators? Is your meat humanely raised? Do you do composting? Do you have perennial crops, right? And maybe work in agroforestry, draft animals, alternative energy. All those types of things can be important to buyers and to your customers, that they want to know a little bit about what you're doing, and you can use that to leverage some of your differentiations from your competitors. Again, what your crops are growing, what animals, what products, those are things that you also want to be able to identify. So you can look there. Maybe it's something unusual or specialty like honey or maple or mazes or Christmas trees or mushrooms, right? Maybe you do agritourism, sell farm related products. Maybe you do nursery products, hanging baskets, again, what you kind of focus on. It could be your biscotti, it could be your wholesale products, it could be things that you do for parties or birthday parties, right? So what kind of products and services you have that can be differentiated. Same
I have
thing.
a question. I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
sure.
So would I use all local ingredients, make my biscotti? Would that, like Stewart's eggs, Cabot's butter, would that be considered something that's unique?
Definitely. Again, that would be something that's considered unique and that you want to maybe highlight if your competitors don't. It could be, that could be maybe one of your USPs, maybe not your strongest. It just depends, when we'll go through it, make a list. For you, I think my grandmother's recipe and handmade with local ingredients, it could be something like that when you're developing the USP, right? Depends on what resonates the best, right? We're going to go through and say, this is what's good about me, right? This is what's unique. And then if our competitors also do it, we're going to cross that off, right?
I'd like to eventually do gluten-free, because I can't have a lot of gluten, and I've had customers ask me to make some gluten-free biscotti. So that's something I'd like to do down the road as well. Although there's a lot of bakers out there that do gluten-free. There's a lot of competition with that.
Yeah, and maybe it's gluten-free, using local and right, handcrafting this recipe, right? Instead of just mass producing a gluten-free, or it's not using local because they're using gluten-free, right? And how you kind of position yourself when we're doing a USP, we're saying, you know, here's the competitors, here's the marketplace for baked goods, right? These are what everybody's doing. How do you position your product in that marketplace, right? You find maybe where there might be gaps, if that's possible, but other things so that when they know you and you can tell them, particularly, this is what I do, this is how I do it, this makes me different. You know, you might find that a grocery store or a small retail shop gets approached by a lot of bakeries, right, to sell their products, and maybe they're not biscotti, and so that's something that's unique, right? Maybe they are scones or cookies or something else, but what is going to be different that they're going to want to pick your product, right? Local, grandmother's recipe, you know, delicious, right? What are those three things that you're going to focus on that's going to say, hey, here's how we're going to make it work. This is why we're going to Caliba's cookies and biscotti over to the next person. Okay. And it's not necessarily a tagline that you want to do, but it's just going to infuse all of the rest of your branding and marketing. And so that you say, okay, these are the things I'm going to highlight every time. When I talk to someone, I'm going to highlight this. When I give my elevator speech, I'm going to talk to this. When I have my business card, this is what I'm going to highlight. My website. When I want people to think about it, these are the three or couple things that are going to come up with this, right? And it's not only what you do well, but it's what your customers want also. So you might target people that want that homemade, authentic grandmother's recipe, but new and improved for gluten-free. Right. You know, I don't know exactly about what your customers, but you're gonna have to dive in and see what it is that's going to make you unique.
Okay, thank you.
Other things that people do on their farm businesses or their farms, right? They do maybe educational events, they do special events, they do dining in on-farm dinners, they do workshops, they do classes. Those are things that also can be unique for a food and farm business, where you sell your products, right? Eileen said that she sells them online, shipped right to your door. That is unique compared to maybe some other bakeries that don't ship in this area, right? Or other bakeries that don't ship, you have to buy at the retail location. Pat said that she sold at farmers markets, right? Not everybody does that. So where you sell, you know, again, maybe you have a bed and breakfast or an inn or a cafe, things that would make you unique and different from the competition, and how you want to highlight some of those things. Okay. Here we're going to take a look at a couple of local brands, and we're going to see how they positioned themselves in the marketplace and what we can tell maybe a little bit about their messaging. And this is going to be pretty quick because maybe some of you don't know these brands, some of that you might, but we'll take a look at. We'll start with Dash with Coffee. Can anybody read what it says on the bottom of the bag there?
World's strongest coffee.
The world's strongest coffee. Now that is their USP, their unique selling proposition. World's strongest coffee. The coffee market is a very crowded place, right? And we might have heard people say the smoothest or the richest. But Death Wish chose to position themselves as the world's strongest coffee, right? They're based on all of their marketing. I mean, even their packaging, it's showing is not for the faint of heart. It is based on what's left. You know, there was not a lot of people touting that they have the world's strongest coffee. And there is even a refund. If you don't think it's the strongest coffee, you can get your money back. Okay, so that's where they chose to position themselves. It could also be smooth and rich and sustainably sourced and a couple of these other things, but they're going for, when you think of Death Wish coffee, you're going to think of the world's strongest coffee, right? It's for the people that want that extra jolt of caffeine, and they're not, it's not going to be for everybody, right? It's not going to be everybody's cup of tea, right? But it's going to be for the people that are looking for it, and they're able to create a brand that's successful about that, right around that. So they had to decide what it was that they were going to be. Okay, Nettle Meadow, our artisan cheese. What do we think about when we see their logo or their branding? Anybody have any comments?
Goats eating nettles out in the pasture.
Okay, goats eating nettles out in pasture. Okay, from Pat, right? So we see the nettle, we see the animals. What else might we think about this brand?
No, it's unique because it's artisan cheese, goat cheese.
Okay, so it looks like it's less polished, right? It's less finished than the Death Wish, right? It's more hand drawn. So we can see the artisan, maybe more of a craft product, right? It's got the animals that are front and center, right? And if you look at some of their website, and we had more time to go deeper into that, right? One of their key things that they emphasize are happy and healthy animals, right? They have an animal sanctuary on property. They prioritize their animals as a central part of their business. And you can see that, right? From just even the logo, the website, you can see the animals front and center, natural ingredients, handcrafted, right? It makes you think of handcrafted artisan cheeses, right? And that's something that they're going to highlight and be unique, right? Smaller processing facility. They take a lot of care with their product, and they'll be able to emphasize some of those products. What about with Fat and Kill Valley Creamery? What are some of the things that we want to resonate or see from just their logo here and a couple of their words here?
It's good for kids.
Good for kids. Okay, so we see a young kid and we see the tagline Family Farm Fresh, right? So again, emphasizing family farm, right? It could be family farm or it could be for your family, right? With the kid here and the milk. It's going to be more wholesome. It's going to emphasize that, is it going to be family farm, local, right? It doesn't say a lot about some other things, right? If you dig deeper on their website, you'll know that they're committed to no pesticides or growth hormones or other things, right? But that's not what they're leading with, right? They're going to be differentiating themselves from maybe other sustainable and organic milks in the grocery store, but that are not from a family farm, right? Or from a local farm, right? And they could be, similar with those whole things, but what they're leading first is with something that makes them unique, right? A family farm, good from our family to your family, right? And that's something that we can see and what people want, bringing back that idea of local milk delivery and the milkman and knowing your dairy and dairy farmers, right? And so again, they're going to be in a different place than maybe Horizon Organic Milk, which has some of the same attributes, but they're creating something unique and different from their branding and their messages, and it's going to go across most of their marketing, promotions, and management. Okay, so I'm going to put it excuse me for just one second. I'm going to put it in the chat. And it is a worksheet that I want you to work on for a few minutes, and then we're going to regroup and come back here. So it is a Google Doc, and you can grab it, and it's going to ask you a couple of questions and about what makes your farm unique, a different potential differentiators of your brand and what you sell. Get specific and break out your different products, right? So for some of you that might have a couple things, you might want to just pick one of your products that you're going to be very specific about. And they solve a problem for your customer, and they communicate that benefit of your product to that target market in a really succinct and concise way. Okay, it's also going to have you take a look at the competition, who your competitors are, where are the gaps where you can introduce your brand a little bit differently. You can have a lot of different baked goods or a lot of honey goods, but they can be positioned all differently. You can emphasize your recipe. You can emphasize that they'll ship right to your door. Okay, and then taking a look at all the different things that are there and ways that you can apply it to your business. Okay, so go ahead if you have it. We'll take about, since it's a smaller group, about 3 or 4 minutes for you to maybe think about it and take a look at what your, through that Google sheet, what those unique selling things are, right? Everything that makes your farm or food business unique, put it in that box. Don't go ahead and do the websites yet of your competitors. That we'll do at a later time. But go ahead and see what you think that might be unique. What you're solving that problem for your customers, how you make them a hero. Hey, I never knew I needed that, but now I know that I needed that, right? That was always what I was looking for. It's not about you saying, I have this great idea. It's about your customer saying, I never knew that I needed that. That's the perfect product for what I'm looking for. Okay. What do you want to be known for in your market? What type of customers do you want to serve? What can you do better than anyone else? And a couple things. So brainstorm that, and I'll give you a few minutes to do that. Can everybody pull up the sheet?
Yes.
I'm not sure where to go to share.
It's in the chat.
Oh, in the chat. Okay.
If you go to the chat, there's a link to a Google Doc, but I can pull up the screen. So you can take a look at it on the screen if that's easier for you.
Yeah, that's great. Thanks.
Okay, and take a few minutes to jot down a few things, all the things that make you unique, right? And be specific, be pretty specific. I need to have like the music, the couple minutes of music, right, Jennifer? I need you to pump in the elevator music.
As I'm sitting here, I'm wanting to go out to the vending machines and get some of Eileen's biscotti.
And you know, like the size of the packaging can be something unique, right? Is it a snack? Is it for a gift, and those types of things, right? Maybe it's just like that 100-calorie treat or something. And you know what I'm saying? Like that was kind of unique when some brands started going into these smaller packaging, like just for a taste craving. Maybe it's an indulgence, maybe it's an everyday thing, right? It's just one of those things too. How do you sell it? How does it's packaged in the vending machines?
I think Eileen's working on her worksheet, so I can answer for her, I think, but it's packaged in bakery bags.
Okay.
No.
Yeah. Right. Maybe it's like biscotti as like a beef jerky piece, like a one, I don't know. Like when you just need that pick me up for a vending machine. Do you get
Yeah.
feedback from your customers, Jennifer, at the stores, at the Taste New York stores, on what other things that they're looking for?
We do occasionally. We've a pretty wide variety already, so I think people are just generally surprised to find fresh cheese and jars of sauce, or just those types of products in a vending machine. So and we have a wide variety of what you would expect to find, like snacks, potato chips, candy, that sort of thing, sodas, although they're all local sodas. Yep. So, but we do get feedback right on the spot from customers.
Great. Yeah. I mean, it is. I think people are excited about what you have, because it is so unique, right? Or what they're not used to in a vending machine.
Right.
Okay, we'll give everybody one more minute to keep working on a couple things. Again, be specific. We will ask you to share a couple things when you come back. Okay, and remember, there could be many, many ways that you sell your products, but your USP is the big idea that positions your brand to what your customers care about, and maybe where there's that gap in the market where your competitors aren't. Okay, so there are many, many ways. And your products, for you to position or sell your products, but where you're trying to find that intersection between what your customer cares about and maybe what you do better or differently than the rest of your competition. And your products themselves don't need to be unique, but you need to have a strong USP so that people know your brand and can recognize it for where that sweet spot is, where you can kind of plant your flag and how you introduce your product to the world. So what are some of the things that you came up with from some of our participants here, that what do you want to be, what are some of the things that make you unique or different? And I know we talked about it a little bit, but were there any that you can do better than anyone else, or that we were stronger at? Anyone want to share any of the ones that they've had?
All right, well, I'll go. My product is really just the best. I'm sorry. And the competition is unbelievable right now. And so a lot of things that I do right now, competition is one of my biggest problems right now, along with SEO. It's a big problem because a lot of people copy me, but they're not the same. So they're really kind of like lying, but they're looking to me because I get the best price for my honey, probably in upstate New York, even some downstate in New York City area. So they're trying to copy me, but it's tough. Anyhow, that's why I'm taking this webinar. I'm concerned with meeting the needs of people who are concerned with taste, the quality of their honey, looking for people, honey connoisseurs, upscale product, people who are concerned with their allergies, because I harvest honey from the bees almost every week during the growing season. So, and it's all wildflower honey. It's a woman-owned business, a one-person operation. So I don't know if that would really sell that well to say it's a one-person operation, but so I control the entire process. I don't resell honey. I don't buy honey in bulk and rebottle it or do anything like that. I've been beekeeping for 45 years. It kind of dates me. I am a master beekeeper and I do a lot of education. In fact, right now I have a 501c3. It's called New York Bee Wellness, and right now we're doing the statewide survey for non-migratory beekeepers to see what the loss is. So I do a lot of that sort of thing too. But the so it's seasonal honey, infused, kosher, small batch, done in a 20C kitchen. I'm not looking for the person who's looking for the lowest price. So I get a lot of experience when I'm at the farmer's market and people, they look at my honey, which is at a higher price point. And they'll say, oh, it's too expensive or whatever. And I'll tell them, well, it's the best, but that's not the person I'm looking for, because there's a lot of honey out there that's pretty cheap.
Okay, yeah,
That's
so
about it.
so great. I mean, you have a lot of good attributes that would make you different. And I liked some of the things that you had said, right? You're not competing for price, right? A lot of times people think that that's it. You're going for the people, the honey connoisseurs that are looking for that high-end taste and quality. I mean, how do they find you, right? That's who maybe your target market is, people that are really concerned about taste and the best superior product. And, you know, how are you going to say, hey, that's what I'm going, right? You can sell your products a million different ways, right? But farmers market this, but you want to maybe say, hey, the people that are concerned with the highest quality and an expert, right? You can brand yourself as an expert. You've been doing it for 45 years. You're have an education arm. You have all this skill set, right? And you aren't trusting it to anybody else, right? You're not trusting it to anyone else in your service. So if you were going to take a look, and this is from Shopify here, right? You're going to say, this is your brand, offers for target market to value proposition, right? These are some of the things you're going to fill in. And I think Shopify does a really good job of making sure people know how they differentiate. They have a lot of different products. So if you, Pat, were going to re-say this statement here, how would you state it?
What do you mean?
All right, can you see this slide here?
Okay, so which
So
which line am I
when your farm offers.
Oh, Kim, the workshop, the worksheet is on the screen.
Oh, I'm sorry. Can you see this now? Okay.
Okay, I see barrels.
Okay, so there's a statement here at the bottom. And, you know, we have a vague idea. We're going very quickly through this, right? And you'll spend some more time with that worksheet. But once you have a vague idea of your USP, right? Let's say the highest quality taste. It might help to express this statement so you can get it down on paper, right? And you're going to have to revise and reiterate, but you want to have, right? You said a lot of really good things in there that make you different and unique. But you want to be able to say that clearly and communicate that, right? A lot of different buyers don't know. They really want to buy local, but they don't know what's the difference between your product and someone else's product. They don't know why they should be buying yours, right? We see, you said there's a lot of competition in the honey market. What is it that makes you different? So you can say, my farm offers the highest quality, the superior taste, artisanal honey for discerning honey connoisseurs or discerning honey consumers, so that they can be, assured that they have the best tasting, highest quality honey. Unlike all the other honey, right? We have an expert beekeeper who does education and has been doing this for 45 years. Or unlike other ones, we only batch in small batches and we don't ever buy in bulk, right? So you want to take your USP and get it into this statement so you can get it onto paper. Okay. And so we only have a few minutes today, but Pat, what I want you to do is go fill out that worksheet when you have some time. Take a look at all those things you listed: women-owned business, handcrafted experience, or 45 years of experience, wildflower honey, superior taste. See what your competitors are doing. Take a look at some of your competitors and see where you can be different and what are those most important things for your target market that you should identify. Okay. And it won't be something that you advertise this, but again, it's going to highlight it. It's going to clarify your USP and your audience. And it might be worth highlighting on your marketing, on your website, when you talk to people. Does that make sense for you, Pat?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. What about you, Eileen? Did you have any things that you wanted to share? You're on mute.
Sorry. Hi. Yeah, I know we don't have a lot of time, so I'll be quick and brief. So I'm a small local woman-owned business. As I said before, I specialize in my grandma's Italian cookies. My products are all natural, handmade, using high quality and some local ingredients. Like I said before, I use Stewart's eggs, Cabot's butter. I use all pure McCormick flavoring. I use King Arthur's flour. And I think my prices are, my products are priced right. I worked on the pricing formula. I spent like a month trying to get that right at the beginning with my mentor. So, so I think my prices maybe actually be a little bit lower than other products, other biscotti products. I love the high quality Italian baking. I try to bake my products same day, bake and ship same day, so they're come warm right out of my oven. And I try to find fresh, new flavors, different flavors, and provide those to my customers and wholesale every quarter.
Okay, great. I mean, some really good key things that are unique to your brand, right? And so when you have time, again, we're just giving some of the highlights, go through and see where you can position your brand and what other people don't do, right? Like I said, I keep coming back to that Italian grandmother, right? I don't see that other places. You might see other people that use local. Yes, you want to be known for local on other things, but you want to take your strongest thing, the one that differentiates you, right? Because people are looking for an authentic product that uses high quality ingredients and is made by hand, right? And so same thing, you can use this statement here, right? Kaliba's Cookies offers, what's your product, right? My grandmother's Italian cookie recipe for, people that, want to remember growing up, or their kitchens at home, or people that maybe, like you said, they're not necessarily concerned with price, or your price is affordable, or it's affordable, maybe that's your strong selling suit to people who want to treat but not break the bank, right? And how you can kind of differentiate yourself, but that you can be able to communicate that effectively. So when someone sees you and your cookies, they know those one or two key things about your brand that makes you different, right? Again, wholesale buyers, a lot of buyers, they have so many products that come in and they're not necessarily competing on price. If they're already going to buy local products, price is not going to be something that they're going to be looking for, but they want to know, do you have a story? What is your story? Do you have some of the third-party certifications like the kosher certified, or are you using local, right? Other things that make your product unique. Okay. So again, a compelling USP, while you have some time to take that worksheet, should be memorable, clear, and simple. Focus on the benefits, not the hype. A lot of times people get into food and farm businesses and they're following trends, right? They want to know that you actually are passionate about your products, right? Like Pat said, there's a lot of people that are coming in and using a lot of her things to do it, but she's been doing it for 45 years, right? That is a unique quality characteristic that she should be touting, okay? And again, you might think that it is the best thing, that your recipe is the best thing or your product is the best thing, but if your customer doesn't want it or doesn't see the need for it, it's not going to benefit them and they're not going to buy it, right? You need to make your customer the hero. What is it that you're solving that need for? So get that feedback from your customers. What do they want, and how to feature it, okay? So you can have some time to work on their USP or on your USP as you move forward. Okay. So again, why wholesale? So if you are doing wholesale, again, people are trying to figure out other markets to expand into, and wholesale in New York State is increasing as the demand from consumers. They want more local goods and more local products. So we are seeing increases in consumer demand for local food. So distributors are starting to buy it, retail chains, restaurants are starting to buy more local food. Other small farms and food businesses are seeing increased competition in farmers markets, farm stores, right? We see a lot more of that direct consumer competition. So farmers or food producers are looking to create a more diverse and consistent revenue by maybe looking into wholesale. Wholesale takes planning. This is from the New York Farm Viability Institute, that the challenges farmers are faced by entering the wholesale market. So it does take planning. A lot of times we see farmers that are saying, oh, I have extra tomatoes, maybe I'll sell them to a restaurant tomorrow or next week, right? That's not really a good strategy in how it works. Have to know how to plan your production, right? Before you enter into the wholesale market. Will you have enough consistent product for wholesalers, right? What a wholesaler does not want, or a larger account does not want you to say, I can meet your demands this week, but not the next week, or not the next month, or inconsistent production. Knowing how to price for wholesale, you're going to find that your pricing is going to be much different then you are going to find for then direct to resale or right off your website. So can you make your margins when you're selling for wholesale? Are you able to cover your costs? Can they have a markup? Are they going to be interested in buying your product? And then locating buyers is another really tough challenge faced by farmers entering the wholesale market. And we'll go through a little bit of a profile on what the buyers are, what you need to do, okay, and how to find those profiles of buyers. Okay, so the 3 C's of wholesale to think about: the capacity, consistency, and communication. Before you go and approach a wholesale buyer, you want to get the relevant production method, your certification, any of your product information on. You want it to be in a neat way to present it to buyers before reaching out to new customers. Okay, so do some research on what products you're able to sell, what kind of quantities, what is the case sizes, what is the pricing, before you reach out to buyers, right? These wholesale buyers, whether it's a restaurant, a grocery store, farm to school, they're going to be busy. And they get a lot of information coming in, and they want to know, do you have the capacity? If I'm going to switch over to buy your biscotti for an after dinner coffee drink every day, I want to know that I can get it reliably. And I need 200 pieces of biscotti every Saturday, or whatever that case product is. Or same thing with the honey, right? Can I sell this in my store, but I'm going through this much, products, this many products per week? Are you able to supply that? Are you able to be consistent with it? Okay. And then the communication is very key when you're dealing with wholesale buyers, right? Not necessarily traditional farmers on this call, but for traditional farmers, you might not have the same hours of operation as a restaurant or a distributor, right? If you're going to go to a restaurant and drop off samples on a Saturday afternoon, they're very busy, and they might not to be able to be well received. So the communication has to be tailored to who the buyer you're going after. A little product catalog, right? Many farms send out like a weekly email that gives it to buyers. They say, this is my list of availability this week. And it has very concise information, right? The pricing, the case size, the quantity, the flavors, whatever it is, the packaging size, and how they can easily order, right? If you're going to be selling wholesale, you might want to look into a simple way to order, whether it's invoicing, it's a product catalog, it's a weekly email, it's an online ordering system. And, when you send that availability, you want to have up-to-date information, and they can contact you by text, phone, email, right? Making sure that you're available by a lot of different options. Okay. What to consider, okay? And then the last thing to consider also, right, when you have the product catalog and availability, is samples, right? Samples go a long way when you can drop them off to the person that's in charge of ordering, when you have some information about your farm or your product, right? That USP. Is it my grandmother's Italian cookies, sourced with local ingredients, handmade, right? Having that there, so sample, so they can try your product, make sure that they can see it, right? For a honey connoisseur, right? For Pat's case, maybe you want to get into high-end bakeries or high-end pastry shops or high-end restaurants, right? Maybe that's another wholesale market for you, that people that are really concerned about discerning taste and quality. Okay. And the last thing to think about before you approach buyers, it's really key, is the logistics. How do they order? Are they ordering online? Are they ordering weekly? Are they ordering, is it a standing order? How are you going to deliver? Do they have to pick up? Are you going to deliver it to them? Are you going to drop it off at a hub? Is it a food hub that you're going to drop it off? And invoices. A lot of restaurants or grocery stores pay on terms, but a lot of farms and food products are saying, hey, you pay me in cash at the time at the point of sale. Can a restaurant do that? Can a grocery store do that? Well, you have to have an invoice for them, right? So figure out all those things before you approach a wholesale buyer. Wholesale buyers are very busy. They have a lot of different options. You need to figure that out on your own, okay? Other things that from Farm Roots Grow New York City, this was a quote from interviews done about wholesale buyers that were interested in farm products. They appreciated farmers who could clearly describe what differentiates their product from a competitor. Unique product qualities, production practices, third-party certifications, and a great farm story. What can you tell, right? If they're already looking, these wholesalers, they're farmer focused, they're already looking to buy local products, they're not going to be so much concerned on the price. They want to know about the other things here. And they mentioned some of these USPs that they like to have from their from the people that they're purchasing from, right? Eileen, you mentioned that you make it the same day and can deliver it, right? That has a longer shelf life than maybe some of the other products, right? That's something that you want to highlight for your wholesale customers. The flavor, right? Pat and I leave both emphasize flavor. Consistent unit supply, consistent supply, late order fulfillment, right? Can they call you at the last minute? Are you able to deliver if they need it? Digital invoices is a big one, right? Clear labeling, maybe for someone like you, Pat, exclusive availability, right? It's a certain blend that's only in these high-end stores. Okay, so things about when you're tailoring your USP to wholesale buyers, you want to make sure that that is something that you have going for you. Okay, and these are the type of wholesale buyers that you might want to focus on, right? Farm to table restaurants, what maybe your product is better suited for. There's regional distributors and food hubs. We have a couple food hubs in this area, and I'm sure where you are, Pat, and other areas of the state, there's some food hubs that might look for underserved demographics, that might be looking for different things. Value-added foods. I don't know if you've reached out, Pat, to some of the craft beverage industries, right? They might like honey in some of their ingredients. That could be another resource for you. So again, different than the traditional mainstream, right? We know some of the farm to table restaurants, we know grocery stores, but there are some in between that we can also look for. Okay. So wholesale continues to provide opportunities to diversify and expand your consumer base, but you have to understand your capacity and build those relationships. And a strong point to do is to create that USP so those wholesale buyers can remember you, think of you when you're doing it, and play to your strengths, right? What are the things that make you different? And it'll be both beneficial to your customers and help you to expand your revenue streams and possibly be more profitable. Okay, we know that we finished a little bit close here to the time. I'm sorry, Jennifer, but again, we had a couple things here. I hope that if you have any quick questions, I have time for maybe one question or one or two questions before we go. But again, how you can create your unique positioning, your unique selling point, and then use it for different buyers, especially with wholesale, if you're trying to get into that market.
All right, I need to reach out to for wholesale. You know, I don't know how to. I just got to do a Google search and just it sounds really like a big job just to do an internet search and then figure out who to contact and how to contact wholesalers.
Yeah, Pat, who do you there are a couple distributors like in your area. I don't know, like maybe Regional Access might be a good place to start. I think for you, finding a distributor or Baldor Foods, right? High-end food. I'd be happy to share offline
Okay.
a couple things that maybe would get you started for some of your again, we're looking at those consumer or those customers that are very high end, they're discerning on taste. Some of those places sell to restaurants. So you might be able to hook up with a distributor that then can, market your honey to who you want to be, right? But you'd have to make sure, do you have the capacity? Can you make those profit margins before you reach out, right? So do some internal work, like what kind of capacity do you have? Are you able to sell at a price that then they can resell, right? Because there is a markup from a wholesaler. If you sell to a distributor, then they have to sell to the end user at a markup.
Right.
So do some of that work on how you might price some of your things, what kind of case sizes, and then I can help you find some distributors that might meet your target demographic.
Thank
Any other?
Kim, this was great. A lot of really helpful information. I think I hope that everyone who is here benefited from it. We'll also be sharing this with other producers around the state. So there may be questions after that, and I can get in touch with you if there are.
Great, thank you. And for Eileen and Pat, please feel free to reach out to me and I'd be happy to help you with anything that went over here. You have a copy of the workshop or the worksheet that you can keep working on to make sure you're doing that, but I'd be happy to help you in any way to get your product to where you want it. Or
Thank
your
you very
messaging.
much.
Thank you.
Yeah, this is very helpful. And thank you, Jennifer.
You're welcome. And those who are staying on, you'll just have to log out and connect with the new link for the 10 a.m. session. And that's it. That should be in your email.
Thank you.